Hi, everybody. This is Lauren, and I'm in a house, and I'm going to share with you all about royal icing transfers. And I'm sitting here watching my son cook dinner for me, which is a very good thing. Are your all's kids home from college? I think it's the greatest thing ever. So if you're on, tell me where you're from. I live in Versailles, Kentucky, and I love royal icing transfers. And I decided to do this because recently someone told me that they think royal icing transfers are really hard. And I thought, I think they're the greatest thing ever. So the cookie that I'm going to show you all how to do 2 royal icing transfers. One of them, hey, Melissa. One of them is for this cookie right here, which is part of our current subscription box. And then I'm going to show you the Father's Day cookie. And I don't have that one with me. I don't know where it is, but I'm just going to show you some examples of things you can do with royal icing transfers. Hey, Cecilia, this pea I did with a royal icing transfer back at Easter. These are all royal icing transfers. The thing I love about them is that you can make them ahead of time and just save them forever. This is a royal icing transfer. I made this for New Year's, but would this not be the cutest graduation cookie? Hey, Tammy. So what do you need for your royal icing transfers? Let's talk about that first, and then I'll show you how to do one. You need a royal icing transfer sheet. And so this is just a sheet that I printed off on my computer. This comes with the Cheerful Box subscription this month. I printed this off on cardstock. You don't have to use cardstock. You can use regular old paper. It totally doesn't matter. Now, people use different things on top of their sheet for transfers. And I'll tell you what the options are. There's lots of different options and why I prefer one over the other. One thing is this clear acetate food safe sheet. I got this from Clear Bags. I love this. It's nice because you can put the royal icing transfer sheet down in it, which is super handy to keep it clean. The thing I don't like about this is there's a very long dry time. So if you're going to use something like that, you can also use a clear bag. You know, the bags that you just package your cookies in. You could use one of those bags and put it on top of the transfer sheet if you only wanted to make a few of those. Again, your transfers will take like 3 times as long to dry. They take so much longer if they're on those kind of sheets. So this is what I prefer. These Zen Logi unbleached parchment squares. Now they are light brown, so sometimes it's harder to see. If you have a super duper light sheet, but you can see through them really well. I love these because they're small and because they don't curl up. They're super easy to use. I could probably make 9 transfers on this, and I just make multiple ones. So these are my favorite. Again, it's Zen Logi unbleached parchment. Now you can use parchment paper out of the roll. I don't like that because it curls up because, it's curled around the thing. So if that's all you have and you want to use that, what I would suggest is putting the sheet upside down or putting the sheet on a cookie sheet upside down. So the cookie sheet is upside down. Put this on top. Put a piece of parchment paper on and then tape all around the edges. That will keep it from curling up. So before we continue, does anybody have a question about what to put your royal icing transfers on? Parchment squares are my favorite. No questions about that? Okay, good. Now, how long does it take royal icing transfers to dry? It depends on, like I just mentioned, what you put them on. If you put them on parchment paper, they'll be completely dry overnight. unless, and you can just leave them out on the counter. You don't want to cover them. You want to leave them open. Yes, I will put the links that I love. Absolutely. I'll put it down underneath this video. Thank you for asking. So they'll dry overnight. If you put them on one of these sheets, plastic, it might take 3 or 4 days to dry. So you really need to plan ahead and think ahead. I have a Cabela dehydrator. I will also put a link for that. If I only could keep one like major decorating tool, meaning like a projector or my dehydrator or all those bigger things, it would be my dehydrator. I couldn't do without it. I use it all the time. Mine is from Cabela's, and it goes all the way. I've had mine for years. I think mine goes all the way down to 65 degrees, but it also goes up really high. Now, a lot of people will put Royal Icing transfers in their dehydrator at a really high temperature, and that's not a good idea because what will happen, in really high temperature, I mean 120 and above, what will happen is it's too hot and it will disintegrate your transfer. So when I put mine in the dehydrator, the highest I ever go is about 105 degrees. Now, if you put it in the dehydrator and you have one of these little parchment sheets, sometimes they'll go like this because the fan is in the back of the dehydrator. So I'll put something on the edge. If I put it on the center rack of the dehydrator, that's where it has the most air. If you put it on the top or the bottom, you don't have to worry about that. But I'll put, a little cookie cutter, a bean. It doesn't matter, just so this stays down on your tray. Can you use wax paper? I honestly don't know. I've never used wax paper. I think because wax paper is actually thicker, I would not recommend it. I think your dry time would be super duper long. I would not use wax paper. And if you're going to put them in heat, like in a dehydrator, I'm afraid some of that wax might come off on the transfer, but I'm not sure. Honestly, I've never used it, but I think it would take too long to dry. Let's see. Do y'all have any questions about what I just talked about with that? So we know that parchment paper is the best because it doesn't take as long to dry. And you can either leave them out on the counter overnight, or you can leave them, or you can put them in the dehydrator. If you put them in, like I said, around 105, probably about 105, they'll dry in 2 to 3 hours. And so if I don't plan ahead, I will oftentimes do that. But even if I plan ahead, that's usually what I do. It's just the easiest. Another little trick is you can put them in the top of your oven with your oven light on overnight, and that will actually help to dry them faster, which is crazy. There's my little friend. My husband's walking through the door. But if you ever put anything in the oven, remember to tell your family or to write yourself a little note or on a Post-it note and stick it on the oven, because it's really easy to put your oven on and dehydrate it and forget that you have something in there. So can anybody guess why I know that? Because I have definitely done that, and it was not a fun situation. I use the same piping and flooding icing that I use for cookies to make transfers. And so oftentimes what I will do is, if I have, we hate to waste icing, right? It takes a long time to make it. It takes a long time to color it. I have all kinds of transfer sheets. And this and you know, all the ones that I talked about earlier, and many, many, many more. I will take the icing and I'll sit and make transfers while I'm watching TV. They don't take very long, and then I have them. And I'll give you a great example where that really comes in handy. So this cookie right here, I love this cookie. I think it's so cute. It's very easy because of the transfers. So I had a friend come in town who has a food blog, and it's called Southern Discourse. So you all should check it out. She has incredible recipes. And she has this event called Dinner with Friends. And she gives you, you know, her whole goal is to get people together. So she'll give you all these menu items in order to have friends over for dinner. And so we did one here in Kentucky. She lives in Tennessee. She came, and a couple days before, I thought, you know, it would really be fun to take cookies to everybody. But as we know, you know, cookies are time consuming. But I had leftover icing from where I had decorated this set. And so I sat down and I made a ton of transfers. And then I made the cookie the next day and plopped the transfers on. And it was really so much faster because I already had the transfers made. So now let's go to the video. This is part of the video that my box subscribers receive. The reason that I wanted to do the video instead of doing this live is because that way I can talk during it. And sometimes I can't talk and do things and be live and, you know, all at the same time. So if you have any questions while we're doing this, please ask and I will stop the video and we will talk about them. So here we go. See, here's my transfer sheet, and I have my little parchment paper over top. And here I'm using a thicker consistency icing. And the important thing about doing a stem is, do you see how I brought that stem down into the pear? If I had not done that, as soon as I lifted my transfer up, that stem would break. So any little pieces like that, you want to bring them down into the bottom part because you're going to be flooding it. You're not going to see the back. And then here I'm using the same consistency icing because with this set, we didn't use very much of the lime green. Normally, I like using two consistencies, one piping, one flooding. But if I'm just using a little bit, I just make one consistency. So now I'm going to use my scribe and I'm going to just wiggle that icing around so that I don't have any little lumps in it. Does it smell good? It doesn't look good? Oh, I bet it'll be good. And then I'm going to just poke that little piece that's up and that'll fall back into place. I'm going to do the apple the same way. You'll notice I start the stem and then I go down into the apple. And with this set, we have a little bit more red. So I have piping and flooding. But first I'm going to do the leaf. And just like with the stem, part of the leaf is going to go into the apple, where the apple is. Otherwise, when I pick that transfer up, you know, that leaf is just going to fall right off. So now I'm using my piping icing to just go around exactly like if this were a cookie. And then I'm going to flood it. The main thing with transfers is you don't want your piping, no matter whether you're using piping icing or 20-second icing, you don't want it to be too thin, because if it's too thin, it will spread just like it would on a cookie, and your transfer will kind of be, it won't end up in the same shape. And again, you can just make a ton of these. These would be good for back to school. You know, you could just have a rectangular cookie and you could draw the lines like paper, and you could put one of these little apple transfers on it and write, let's have a great year. You can do so many things. Ooh, thank you. That looks really good. Next, I'm going to do the little piece of cheese. Did you try them? And here I'm using the same icing. And now I'm going to show you, my consistency is a little bit loose here. And you're going to see why that makes a difference. Whenever I go around the edge, you're going to see my little circles start to close up. They didn't close completely, but because the consistency is a little bit thinner, I should have made the holes a little bit bigger. The transfer, is it good? And here I'm just putting them on here with a little bit of icing on the back, and I sped this up. And isn't that the cutest little cookie? Isn't that adorable? Now the transfer picture, Terry, let me pause this a minute. If you subscribe to the Cheerful Box, you receive that as a download. It came with an email. It is also in the files section of our Facebook group. So you can lots of different places to find it. So now I just want to show you another example of how handy transfers are. Thank you. So this came with our Father's Day box. And I love doing letters as transfers because I don't know about you all, but my handwriting on cookies is terrible. And it's a lot better if I use a transfer. So again, my icing is, I'm using 20-second icing, which means I can use it for piping and flooding. And when you have a little space like the A, the little opening at the top of the A, you want to go on the outside of that triangle, because if that's too small, it's just going to close right back in, just like the little cheese. So if you're finding that happening, you can either take the icing out of your bag and make it a little bit thicker, or you can allow your piping line to completely dry before you flood it. You can see I'm using the bottom of the barrel on this piping bag. You all, my son made the best dinner. Oh my gosh, he loves to cook. Salmon, can you see that? Salmon bites. Woo-wee. It's so nice to have somebody home to cook for me. My husband likes to grill, but he doesn't like to cook as much. But man, my son does. Yeah, the black, I use Chef Master Super Black. It's the best black. It's so good. And I always make my black a couple, if I can, a couple days ahead of time. But their Chef Master Super Black is absolutely the best. So then just let those dry and I plop them on the cookie. So what questions do you all have about royal icing transfers? One question that I used to have when I started decorating cookies is, where can you buy them? They come with our Cheerful boxes. We don't have them every month, but we have them a lot because I just love them. You can buy them from a lot of different cookie shops. My friend who has Little Penelope's Cookie Company, she sells some really cute ones. Lots of people have them. Eventually we'll have them as a standalone item in our shop, But it's really just me, and I just don't have time to do every single thing, and so that has been put on the back burner. But if you're interested in knowing about this cheerful box that I've been talking about, you can go to cheerfulbaker.com. Let me see if my little fancy banner will work. Look how fun that is. Let's see if we can scroll it along the bottom. Maybe. Oh, maybe not. Anyway, you can go to cheerfulbaker.com and I'll put the link in. And then this tells you about the cheerful box, what comes inside. I have some examples of different previous boxes. You can find more about me right here if you click on this. I don't know if you can see that page still, but this tells you that I've been on the Christmas Cookie Challenge. I've been featured on the news in lots of magazines. Such a blessing. Lots and lots of podcasts, which I'm really thankful for. And then I'm in this really cool book, and here's some cookies that I made for that book. So if you want to know my story, click down here at the bottom, my story from Room Mom 2. Click on that, and that will kind of tell you how I got started. And if I can do it, you can do it. And then if you go back, let's see if I can go back, maybe. Yes, you can click down. We have a cookie cutter and stencil of the month. We have the Cheerful Box monthly or quarterly subscription, and then we have the digital cookie cutter club. So that gives you all the information that you could ever want to know about what we do. There's a little video that you can watch of one of our past boxes. And that is it. Any questions? Thank you all for joining. Okay, 2 comments. I just ordered mine. Oh, I'm so glad. That's great. We'll ship it out to you tomorrow. So that'll be so much fun. Sometimes I've gotten transfer paper and they're extremely small. How can you actually do like candy corn being that small? You know, that's a really good question, Terry. If I were to do a really, really small detail, I would only use 20-second icing, because sometimes if you're doing a really small thing and your icing is too thin, it'll crater. So definitely use a thicker icing if you're using a really small royal icing transfer. Any other questions? I appreciate you all joining me tonight. Now on Sunday, and I didn't think about the fact that it was, I'm looking, is Sunday my wedding anniversary? No, it's close. Can you use a stencil holder to make transfers? I don't know what you mean, Cecilia. Can you elaborate on that? Best way to take paper off and how to store. That is a great question, Joanne. If they're dry, they come right off the paper. I mean, you don't have to do a thing, especially if you use this right here. They'll just, you don't even have to do a thing. They'll just pop right off. If they don't pop off, they're not dry enough. Now, if you want to cheat it a little bit and they're not dry, what you can do is you can actually kind of turn it upside down and peel it off. But when you use these sheets, parchment paper sheets, you won't have any trouble. It's the plastic sheets that you have the trouble with. How you store them? You just store them in an airtight container. That's a great question too. You put them in an airtight container. You do not put them in the refrigerator or the freezer. They'll last for like a year. I mean, they last for such a long time because it's just dried sugar. And knowing how to make transfers will save you so much money. Because I don't know if you've ever gone to Michael's and bought the little candy pieces, which are royal icing transfers, basically, they are so expensive, it's ridiculous. So if you can make your own, you will save so much money, and it's fun. And you can just do different things like, this. This was a super easy cookie because I had the letters on the transfer sheet and I just made a ton of them and plopped them on there. The same thing with this one. Love this cookie. These are transfers, and I painted them gold before I put them on the cookie, so I didn't have to worry about getting gold all over my white. Can you put it in a medicine bottle? As long as you put it in something that's airtight, you can put it in whatever you want to put it in. Any other questions? Look, I'm going to try a piece of this salmon. Oh my goodness. You all, my son can cook. Those are salmon bites that you put in the air fryer. Oh, that was good. Any other questions? Cecilia, I'm not sure what you mean. Can you use a stencil holder to make transfers? I don't know what you mean. I'm so sorry. I know I shouldn't have done that, eating that, but man, I'm hungry too. I normally eat way before now. We just looked it up on the internet. It's with blackened seasoning, salmon steak bites in the air fryer, and then we made a salad. It's good. Melissa. Oh, hey, Melissa from the Bake from Scratch retreat. So good to see you. Oh my gosh. Your hand shakes a lot. Can you use a stencil holder to make transfers? I don't know that the stencil holder honestly would help with transfers. I would just recommend taping your paper down on top of your transfer sheet, because that way it won't move. Let's see. Is there any trick to applying if your flooded cookie is not even? Oh, you all are asking some great questions. Okay. If you are putting a transfer down onto a cookie, if you have trouble with your flooding, and I'm going to give you a great example, this one right here. What you can do is you can make your transfers ahead, and then don't let your flood dry. Drop your transfers onto the flood while it's still wet. That is a great tip if your flood is not even, because yes, if your flood is not even, sometimes the transfers won't be even. And if that does happen, what I do is I just put some extra icing on top of the transfer, because what you don't want is you don't want to have, let me see if I can get something to show you all. Let's see. Here's a transfer. Okay. Let's pretend like this is not even. Here's a little popcorn transfer. If you put this on and you have a little bit of space like that underneath because your flood's not even, it's going to break. So you just want to make sure that you put some extra icing underneath that transfer, if that makes sense. Any other questions? So you can put your transfers on while your icing's wet, and you can put your transfers on while your icing is dry. Now on Sunday at 6:30, I started telling you all this earlier. Let's see if I have it here and I can show you. I'm going to be on again, and we're going to decorate this little cookie. And this is a super cute cookie and not hard at all. And one reason we're going to do this one is because cherries are in right now. I don't know if you all know that, but they are like the thing. So I'll show you all the cookies from this set that this box has. It's the cherry. It's this cute one, which would be so cute for Memorial Day, wouldn't it? And it comes with a stencil, and I teach you how to paint that. This cute little kite. the hat, the sun hat, which you can do this Eastern Standard Time. This right here, or you can do it like this for the fall, which is also really cute. And then the plaque, and again, I'll show you how to hand paint that. So those are some of the cookie designs that you make with this box. Do you use tweezers to hold them? I keep saying that's a good question, but I appreciate all these questions because, you know, sometimes I forget to tell every single thing because to me it's so second nature. Tweezers can be great. And I like the real skinny tweezers, the tweezers that are real skinny on the end that are really long. Those are the easiest tweezers to use. So I'll see if I can find a link to those too. Because yes, it is very handy to have tweezers, especially if you're trying to put them down onto a cookie that still has a wet flood. So again, Sunday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing this again. And this box is only available. We change boxes every month. And so here, like in a week, there'll be brand new designs, which is super fun. So thank you for joining. I'm going to go eat dinner and have a wonderful weekend. And maybe I will see you on Sunday. And after I eat, I will go ahead and put the links to the things that I talked about on this live. So thanks for joining. See ya. Bye.